Hello and welcome to the That's So Craven podcast. I'm your host, Mark. I am joined by two lovely, lovely people today, the prodigal son and the prodigal daughter. Let's start with Mary. Nothing in Fulham is scary without Mary. Mary, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I've missed being here. It's been a few weeks. It's been a busy few weeks, so I've missed being here. But yeah, hopefully I can bring the scary Mary to the Arsenal game, and then maybe we'll go all guns blazing at them. But yeah, it's so good to be back and talk about all things Fulham really, and see what's been going on, and hopefully keep the pos vibes going because there hasn't been many for the last few weeks.
Oh, we're gonna get to that, and you're absolutely right. Did not miss the gun pun, which I was expecting from little dig at our next our next participant, our next contributor. It's the best from the west, the beast from the east side, Mike Levy. How are you, Mike?
I'm great. I'm great. Glad to be back. I needed a little bit of a break after the couple weeks, but coming in ready to storm the stadium and storm the castle. And wrong club, but doesn't matter. We're still going to get 3 points.
Fair enough. And I'm loving the cap as well. For those of you who can't see, Mike is he's donned the very stylish full America cap, so I'm sure he'll have a few words to say there later on in the show. But very very excited to have you guys here. The international break I feel has come at a welcome time. In a couple of the other pods, I was very bullish against Bournemouth and Villa. Villa, in particular, did not have a great start to the season. But I kind of wanted to get you guys' take on September. I'm going to pull up the sort of results that we've had. Kind of a mixed bag of results, ending on a bit of a sour note. But we do have quite a few wins in there, hoping for that third Premier League win in a row. But I guess the question I have for you guys is, are you how are you feeling as Fulham fans? Are you sort of satisfied? Are you happy? Are you sad? And do you think where we're at the table sort of reflects where the team is at and us performing and how we've performed? Mary, why don't you go ahead and take that first?
Yeah, do you know what? I had a think, and I was thinking where the other day, where do I think we would have been after these games? And actually, just talking about the five that are on the screen or you've put up, the last five games. Okay, one of them's the cup game, but talking about the four Premier League games, actually, I pretty much I didn't expect the last two results in the manner that we lost them, but I hoped that we would get a draw perhaps against Villa and Bournemouth, but I say after the last four Prem games, I expected 8 points, and we've come away with six. So actually, yes, the last two games have been pretty hard hitting, and they haven't been great results. And like I said, the way that we've lost them after being 1-0 up is not the way we want to be losing games. But actually, when I thought about it properly, yeah, I thought we could have got a draw in them too. But we're actually only 2 points behind where I thought we'd be in the last four Prem games. And I know there's five on there. The cup game expected us to win that. We did, although it was a narrow win. We still got the
Mm-hmm.
win. But yeah, the Leeds game, I didn't expect it to be the way it was, but we got the win, which we all hoped and thought we'd get. But I didn't think it would be a, what was it, 94th minute own goal? Great goal. I still don't know how he's done it, but we got the 3 points there, and I think the highlight for me in the Leeds game was Kevin coming on, and the excitement that caused was just, yeah, that was a bit of a positive note in that one. And then the Brentford game for me was just brilliant. The atmosphere was so good. Were you at that game, Mark? The atmosphere was so good.
Yeah, I was. You're absolutely right, and it's just always nice to take one to the bus stop, boys, isn't it? Like they do have a good team, even though we've discussed earlier they've been absolutely gutted. Norgard out, Mbeumo out, Wissa out, and most importantly, not Flecken, Frank out. Flecken. Everyone knows my opinion on Flecken, but Thomas Frank, he's doing a pretty good job at Tottenham right now. But yeah, no, I'm glad we won that. But yeah, it's kind of we've ended on a bit of a downer, I guess. Like you said, not just the losses, but sort of how we lost. Mike, I want your take on that as well. Do you feel a little bit differently, or are you of the same sort of disposition?
I was on a bit of a high after the Brentford match, especially the way we came back and showed the nous to be able to come back and score after going down, especially in the way that we went down. I really thought that was going to be a point for us to kick on. Um, I'm pretty disappointed with how we've wrapped up the matches. it's great to see that we were off to some pretty solid starts in both matches. It's great to see kind of the interesting ways that we're scoring goals now. Obviously, Cess scoring against Bournemouth is a fantastic thing to see. We all love the hometown kid scoring a goal, but I've been really disappointed over the last couple of weeks, to be honest. And I think I did need that break because I was pretty dour. I really thought that was an opportunity for us to kick on, potentially be in the real European spots. I look at the table now and it says we're sitting at 14th. It's better than, being in the relegation zone where we were at the last break. But simultaneously, it just feels like a situation of what could have been again.
Yeah, completely agree. In particular, I no disrespect to these teams at all. Villa, I think, are definitely a bigger club, and they've had very good success under Emery. But, they were floundering. They had one good match in the sort of European matches that they had to play before, but they were without Tielemans. We had that very early goal. I want to talk to you guys about injuries, but perhaps has that played a role in sort of the results? Because if you think about it, we're out quite a few players. We're still out Anthony Robinson, huge for our defense and our attack. We're out both our strikers, hopefully Raul's back, Kenny Tete, and now Lukic. How do you think that's sort of affected morale, or do you think that's going to really change the way we play? Will we move to a 5 at the back? Or if you were Silva, what are you thinking right now?
Yeah, I mean...
so you go,
go ahead, Mary.
It definitely... injuries definitely affects a team and what you're thinking, because although we've got the squad depth in some way, okay, it could be much stronger, but we've got players to come in. We actually play, they're not silly. We haven't got the out and out striker, the number 9 to come in for, okay, we sort of do, but to come in for Muniz or Jimenez, it's not really the same as what we've had. We haven't got a third striker that's been playing number 9 and getting regular minutes for us and really been ingrained in the team. So I think for the players, having them two out, it is quite, that is a bit of a worry, really. But I wouldn't say it's the cause of our losses, really. I think we've been at fault for some of our goals we've conceded, and conceding 2 in 2 minutes against Villa is not ideal. I think you're most vulnerable after scoring and you're most vulnerable after conceding. And to concede 2 in 2 minutes is just criminal, really. And I think that isn't down to injury. I think that's just, I don't know, whatever happened in those moments. But yeah, in the long term, having injuries of first team players, starting players, influential players has an impact. Does have an impact. We don't want it to. We want to be able to bring in other players that we've got. ESR, bringing him in, Traore, obviously Chukwueze, Kevin, all the new signings as well. But actually, when you've had a team that's been working together for a long period of time, if you've got some of those key ones, Tete out, Muniz out, Lukic, Jimenez, they're quite big players to lose. But I wouldn't excuse our results on that. I just think, yes, that is a factor in like what's to come or morale, perhaps.
Yeah, I think the irony, by the way, Mary, is obviously you mentioned Chukwueze. He goes on international duty, has 2 beautiful assists, and then comes off injured. I feel like that's almost, the story of the season to a degree, where he was probably next in line, candidly, to lead the line, and that's really disappointing. I do think the injuries really do hurt us. I'm not sure how much it necessarily hurts morale. As Mary said, we are, accumulating depth, but who thinks that their starting 2 strikers are both going to go down within a week of each other? That's pretty crazy. I'm not really sure how you prepare much better for that. Maybe not having, an 18-year-old third striker who comes in on deadline day might have been the solution. But I think to a degree we do have to change the system. I think the 5 at the back, especially against Bournemouth, I found really effective until the end. The one disappointment for me, and I feel like this is with all teams, we have people who irrationally do our heads in, drive us crazy. I actually left my little ESR doll in the other room. But I will tell you, I can't do it anymore with Issa Diop. Stick him up front if we have to have him in the squad. But justice for Cuenca, he needs to be starting these games. move Bassi into the middle and just have him cover everybody. But you said it, Mark. I mean, losing Castagna impacts, or excuse me, losing Tete impacts Anderson because he doesn't play as well with Castagna. Clearly, not having a striker leading the line is painful. I do want to say the one silver lining, and I know this does Skivvy's head in as well, is you saw the way we fundamentally changed how we played in Bournemouth when Lukic went down, and somebody with a little more creativity like Kearney, who wanted to progress the ball, came in. And so I think that might be a little bit of insight into how we're going to play going forward, whether that's Josh sitting back into the 8 or whether it's having a more progressive other option. I think will be really interesting. Does Kearney have the ability to do this at this stage of his career, play week in, week out? I'm not sure. But I think that's really going to challenge our midfield to be a little more creative, challenge us to get more goals from wingers over the coming matches.
I think that's a great point. And we know Marco Silva doesn't really like to change the system and the players he has confidence in until he's forced to. He's very much a do plan A better kind of guy. And another point that you raised, Mike, that I really like, justice for Cuenca. I saw a really funny stat. Can't trust everything you see on social media these days, but it was the worst performing 11 by their sofa score. And funnily enough, Bassi was on there. I couldn't believe it because I didn't think he's been playing that terribly. I would say he's not the same Bassi we had last season, but I don't think that's permanent. I think he can get back to the same levels. But, you know, we don't see him dropping clangers, but somehow, I don't know if he just has really harsh critics on the web, but he's just not up to scratch, according to the masses. But would you guys agree with that statement, or did you find it as surprising as me that to see he got a spot in the worst performing 11 that have played over 350 minutes of the season thus far?
I find that pretty surprising, though. I can't lie. Doing round trip flights to Africa every few weeks probably isn't great for recovery. Mary, you could probably comment on this a little further than I can. But just thinking through that, I'm a little surprised there. I still think Bassi is one of the best defenders I've seen in a Fulham shirt. I'm really excited whenever he goes on the marauding runs. But, you know, in the long-term future, when we sell Bassi for 70, 80 million, I think we have the ready-made replacement in Cuenca. I really do think that guy is Premier League caliber.
Yeah, I just want to add, I think Bassi's been brilliant, and there's always going to be moments that players slip up and do something that's, whether it's costly or not, it will be costly in a moment, might not end in us conceding. But the things that when he drives with the ball and like some of just the marking players out of the game, or yeah, my favourite one is when he drives with the ball, and I think he creates a lot of attacking play that way when he has the opportunity to do that. And I love the fact that we don't always know when he's going to do it. Sometimes he will just go on a mad run in a game, but the confidence to do that is quite exciting. And I do trust Bassi. I think he's strong, which we know. He's got a very good football brain. He knows what he's doing. So yeah, I was pretty shocked to see that, to be honest. But just touching on the back line as well, I want to raise that Cess, I think, has really grown in confidence, especially in this last 4 or 5 games. I think he's just really starting to be the Cess that will develop into the next stage of Ryan Sessegnon and really making a name for himself within our team. And I know it's because he's had the opportunity to do so with Robbo being out, but when he first came back to us, he probably was a little bit shy on the ball, or shy finding his positioning again. And obviously the fans have absolutely backed him, as has Marco Silva and the boys by the looks of it. But yeah, I just think it's really nice to see. He's really grown into himself and into the next stage of his footballing career, I think.
Mary, it's really interesting that you say that, by the way. Just out of my own curiosity, and I'll pose this for both of you. Do you think that there's a correlation between Bassi's potential quote-unquote drop-off and Robinson coming out of the lineup with the injury? It could be that Robinson provides extra cover for Bassi specifically because of his pace and because of his work rate, but also it could be a little bit of Bassi being asked to do a little bit more for Cess so that he can take on those more advanced positions and doesn't have the same recovery pace as somebody like a Jedi Robinson does.
Yeah, I think partnership at the back. I've said it many times on the pod and just in football. Partnerships at the back are so important, and there'll be different players that have different strengths. Like you say, with Robinson, he can absolutely get back from being on countering or whatever has happened, and he's up on the pitch and he'll get all the way back and recover. And perhaps Cess can't always anticipate those moments as much, or hasn't got the speed as much. But I think they still work well together. I think Bassi and Cess are still working well. But yeah, I actually probably agree. Maybe Bassi's had to do some slightly different things now with Seth on his side rather than with Robbo there. But I think they're developing well as a partnership. But it's really important if you don't trust the person next to you, or if the attributes, you've got to align your attributes so that you can play off each other quite well. It's all right if they don't, you're not all going to have the same attributes in any unit in the pitch. But if you can support each other in the right way, which hopefully they're learning a bit more now, then I think it will pay off. But yeah, Cess is a bit different to Robbo, isn't he?
Yeah, let me jump in real quick. I think I completely agree, Mike. The pace, the recovery, and it's an additional physical load on Bassi, right, to cover that. But it's also a mental load as well to keep watching players maybe have to be a bit more cautious. So that's probably a big part of it. And I know that a fully fit Robinson walks into this team. He walks into most teams in the Prem, to be honest. So yeah, I just can't wait to have him back. It is taking a little bit longer than expected. Moving on, Arsenal. Now, I'll speak a little bit on this because, we are basically the Arsenal B team, and I have a lot of friends and colleagues who are Gunners fans, so I know a little bit about their team, but it's going to be tough, isn't it? They're the team that they're an established top six, the Invincibles. They've done a really good job. Arteta's come good. A stacked team as well. I was at the Olympiacos match, and who they had starting, it was insane. They had like for like swaps, not like us, where I would say, all credit to them. We love Kenny and Reedy for what they bring and their leadership figures and their loyal servants. But it's a bit of a drop off from who we can be playing in the middle of the pitch. Whereas those guys, they have Zubamendi, they have Rice, they have depth in pretty much every position. How are we feeling? We have gotten results before. They've been really, really hard won. But you guys' thoughts on how we're feeling about taking Arsenal on at home? Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not going to be an easy match. I think one of the things that's going to be really, really interesting is Odegaard has consistently had to come off the last couple matches injured. And so that's going to be a very interesting place to see what they end up doing. Look, Arsenal may be top of the league right now, but it's not like every single one of their results has been necessarily convincing, right? Hard fought matches against Newcastle and United to start the year, a draw against City. I think one of the other things is I think that that 2-0 win over whatever that West Ham team is flatters to deceive a little bit. They had a couple really nice minutes of play, but it wasn't necessarily the most convincing win I've seen. I mean, look, as you said, we've gotten results in the past. I think this is the opportunity for us to really, come back, play in, hit on the counter, and see what we can really do. I'm not going to lie, and I don't want to put this out into the universe, but I feel like I'm going to anyway. I just am not ready to play another Big Six team and have another stupid VAR controversy. It will literally be the end of me.
We've had plenty of those.
Let's hope not.
I mean, it just feels written in the stars that Saka is going to get something weird.
That could definitely happen. But Mary, over to you. Is there a way we can get at this team? Would you target certain players, or would you have a strategy? What if you were Marco Silva? How do we get the best possible result when we welcome the Gunners into our stadium?
Oh, it's going to be tough. It is going to be tough. Like Mike said, they've had some really good results. They've lost one, which was, what was that one, to Liverpool, 1-0. And I think they've scored at least 2 goals in pretty much every game they've played. So, yeah, I think we're going to have to be defensively very solid. And really know our block and where we're pressing. And like you mentioned, is counter. When we've got the opportunity, we need to counter with pace, which is a game where Kevin, I can't see Kevin starting, but a game where if he can come on in the 65th minute, maybe around that sort of area, bring on fresh legs, bring on speed, then maybe he can help with those moments. So I think counter attacking is going to be one where we might get a bit more opportunities. But then saying that, it's going to be a game when they are attacking us, and we do tend to prefer games when it's a bit more open, and Arsenal aren't just going to sit back, are they? So maybe that will help us a little bit. The fact they'll be a bit more open and the game will be a bit more fast flowing. I think we do play better when it's a fast flowing game. But yeah, Arsenal are going to be tough to break down. I think I've seen a stat where, other than the Man United game in their first game of the season, when Man United did take the game to them pretty well, I think Arsenal have not to let a team have less than they've not had more than 10 shots against them in any of the last 6 games. So yeah, they're defensively quite solid, really. So I think that says a lot. We know they've got a good partnership at the back with Saliba and Gabriel, is it, at the back, 2 centre backs? Mm-hmm. I think they're going to be a good partnership, and it goes back to what you said at the start about the injuries. Who are we going to put up top? Have we got a striker? So yeah, I think it's going to be a tough game, but I think it's one where we're going to have to just be clinical if we get the opportunity, because like I said, they're not really allowing teams to get many shots off. They're very good on the ball. Rice is very good on the ball. Saka is scoring. He scored for England, and he scored, I think, against West Ham and in the Champions League game. So he's on fire at the moment. But yeah, it's going to be a tough game. I'm not going to pretend, but we'll see how it goes.
That's a very fair point. From what I hear from my Gunners friends, they probably will play Ben White at right back because they expect, especially against us, that they're going to have a lot of possession. That worries me with the link up with Martinelli, because he may have some faults, but he's very tricky against Castagna. So we know he absolutely skinned them last time. I think the mention of Gabriel is interesting. If there's one liability that I hear from my friends and colleagues who support Arsenal, is that Gabriel plays on the edge of madness. And I don't know if you guys caught it, but I think the Newcastle striker, Voltemanda, he took an elbow to the face, intentional or otherwise, I don't know. He doesn't roll on the ground, but he says, if I did roll on the ground, I think VAR checks that. And we know that he's a hot-tempered Brazilian that likes to play full force. If Kearney takes an elbow to the face and rolls on the ground with a nosebleed, I'm hoping that's a red. But that could be another VAR debacle where they miss it and it's a physical game. That wouldn't surprise me, but I don't know. Do you guys see any other opportunities or any other ways that we can maybe take the game to Arsenal?
I'm not relying on VAR. Gabriel already handled the ball that should have been a handball clearly in the box, I believe, against West Ham. I'm not relying on VAR at all for that. I do, as much as he is controversial, think this might be a game for Adama to, as you said, kind of exploit, whether that's Ben White, whether it's people not tracking back and giving us the ability to play on the counter. I'm not sure I need to see him down the middle again, but just seeing him kind of run at people could be really, really interesting in a way where, we have those long balls that we play over the top to give him a chance to run on and maybe get a game, maybe get something in one-on-one.
Yeah, very fair point. I just hope that we start doing cutbacks with late runs into the box. We know ESR is pretty good at those, because I don't think crossing against Gabriel and Saliba is going to get us anywhere. I don't know if you have anything to add, Mary, to that, but I'm worried about crosses on both ends, right? The set piece ability they have with Rice, delivering cross after cross from the corners, and our inability, it seems, without Robinson to really do much from the left like we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I think we are absolutely missing that pace. As much as I'm saying Cess is bringing up his game all the time, we are missing Robinson's attacking strength, I suppose. And like you said, his crosses into the box. But I mean, we need to find opportunities like we did with the Wilson goal against Brentford. That ball from Iwobi was so good. One of my favourite passes, I think, of the season so far. The pass that Iwobi did that Wilson scored from was so good. The weight of the pass, how quickly he made that decision, and Wilson was already on the move to run in and finish it first time. We've got to find opportunities like that, but we're going to have to work the ball around quickly. But I'm hoping that if Arsenal are, they are coming up the pitch, they're attacking, they're trying to. We know they're going to have possession, but hopefully there'll be some gaps within them, just purely because they're attacking us and playing a little bit wider. But yeah, I think the only other thing is that they've had a lot of players in the international break. They're probably fit enough to not even worry about that, to be honest. But there's a fair few that played for England. Rice, Saka, Eze, Lewis Skelly. I expect Eze to probably start now that Odegaard's out. But they've all had a fair few minutes. But then equally so have we. We've had quite a few out on international break. So it's one of those. But I'm just clutching at straws. But hopefully they'll be a little bit tired from their matches.
Yeah, great point. And do you guys think we stick with the same lineup that we're going to play, I don't know, Iwobi and Wilson on the wings, or do you think we'll mix it up a little bit? I suppose we'll have to in the midfield, but I'm keen to get you guys' takes on who the starting 11 are.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because I think the back line, unfortunately, right now picks itself to a degree. But if we go 5 at the back, again, I can't do another game with Bassey, with Bassey, Diop, and Anderson. We need to have Cuenca in there. I'm going to throw this out here, considering everybody is talking about specifically, putting crosses in isn't a winning strategy, but we really should consider the Diop striker idea at some point, because at the end of the day, I don't want to see him make another mistake at the back. And say what you will, he's 6'6" or something. Like, that's the guy who's going to win one in the air. In reality, though, I think we're going to go 5 at the back. I think we're going to play on the counter. Actually, what we haven't really talked a ton about, and I haven't seen a lot of coverage on this, is I really liked kind of the fluidity we played with against Bournemouth for the first kind of 70 minutes, where we didn't have a striker and you saw King and Wilson all alternating on the press. That I think was a really, really interesting approach. I would love to see kind of a similar lineup, but really slotting in Cuenca and potentially Kearney to start, as opposed to Bassey and obviously with Lukic out. Or excuse me, Diop, by the way, not Bassey. God, I keep saying it.
I just wonder about King as well. Is he strong enough for a game like this? And I know he's played well in many of the games we played, but thinking about the opposition and the fact that they are very strong in their midfield, they're very organised. They've got Rice, maybe Eze, and whoever's going to replace Odegaard. That's a strong midfield, and I just wonder whether King is strong enough to face that, perhaps, especially if he hasn't got Lukic and Berger both there in the double pivot sort of position. I wonder if ESR will come in, or like you said, just the movement, the rotation a little bit more with Wilson and Iwobi up top. I'd just be interested to see if, I don't know, what's your opinion on that? Do you think King can face it?
I think King starts. He certainly has the ability, and he's won Marco's favor, which is great. But my issue with King is, you're right, he's young and he's of slight build, and he gets very little protection from the referees. Now, I might have my Fulham bias on, but it felt like Villa were really targeting him. Brentford too, right? Because he's smaller than them and he's younger than them. And until he starts getting protection, until we become a top 6 club, sooner or later, we won't get the majority of those fouls. And I think that's really frustrating, because he is clever enough to draw those fouls, and he is skillful enough to skip past people. But if they're just going to take him out and the ref says it's a physical game, then we're gonna be stifled on that front.
I will say, Mark, you mentioned Gabriel throwing an elbow and getting a bloody nose. I just feel like King is the guy to play with reckless abandon, to just run through it and not care.
Yes,
yeah, and hopefully if he's quick on the ball and changing his direction quickly, maybe that will rattle them a little bit.
100%. So let's move on to some questions. We got these questions from our Discord, which is a great place to be if you're not already there. It's a place where you can sort of meet like-minded Fulham folks. We have transfer news during the transfer windows in January and summer. There's just general Fulham banter, and if you want, you can contribute to the pod and ask your questions. So we have quite a few. I'm gonna sort of read them out and pass them on to the group. The first one was from a while back. It's from SCS. We've touched on it a little bit, but I think it's worth talking about a little bit further. He says, which position in the team / squad would be worst to be understocked in, i.e., not enough strikers, center backs? I'll start. I would have said goalkeeper, but because we were playing with fire last season. I know Benda's done pretty well at Millwall so far, so maybe he can get there. But I was terrified of the idea of losing Bernd Leno. Now that we have Lecomte, who seems at least quite capable, I'm less worried about that. So I don't think goalkeeper is a position we really need to worry about. But Mike, what would you say is an area that we are, or the worst to be understocked in?
I think just for the way that we play, don't get me wrong. No one can figure that we would lose both of our starting strikers in a week's time. But the way that we play, I feel like it's got to be our center midfielders, because at the end of the day, that's where our defense kind of starts. It's not even our attack starts. It's where our defense starts with that wall of Lucas and Berger. Like, it's really, really hard when we don't have that rotation, and it shows what we were talking about during the preseason and then going into the start of the season. That we needed one more midfielder in there, one more body. Again, I am as big of a Tom Kearney fan as anyone. I think what he has done is truly incredible. I don't know how long he can actually play in terms of minutes on the pitch and how many games consecutively. Reed has not inspired confidence recently. We haven't seen him. I don't think Marco has confidence in him. And so at the end of the day, I think that center midfield, King, as you said, isn't getting the protection that he can really cover there, despite the fact that he played an 8 role in the academy system. I'd be pretty nervous if we didn't have extra center mids.
I agree. Despite the fact we currently have both strikers potentially out, it is the central midfield. They're just key to so much play, whether you're actually trying to receive the ball or not. I just think the movement and the ideas and the playmaking that the midfield can make can absolutely change a game and change performance. So if you've got the right midfield, then or the replacement when someone like Lukic is out, then brilliant. But if you don't, then I think that can just change the team dynamics quite a lot. So yeah, just echo what Mike says really, but it is already something where we're thinking, right, we haven't got Lukic who can replace him really, where there's not really a like for like switch. So I don't know, I'll be interested what Marco does, but yeah, I think a central midfielder, I just think they're key to every sort of attack and defense.
You're right. I mean, we're really missing. There was a certain Cameroonian that I absolutely loved, but he would never play for us unless we were in the Prem. Big Frank, Zambo, and Gisa. We could have really used an 8 like him, but I agree. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think we're nowhere near that stage, but if we were to be short on wingers, that would be devastating for us. Whether it's through injury, whether it's through AFCON, I feel like Marco's entire strategy relies pretty heavily on that. But we have wingers in spades, so we're absolutely fine there. Our next question from our very own Skibby, to both of you guys, actually. He goes, does it pain you to see England play Jed Spence at left back when the left back of the US men's national team is Mancunian?
No, because the right back of the English Premier League team's father is from Alabama. You made the trade. That's your problem, not mine.
Mary, any rebuttal?
I'm just waiting for the day we see a Fulham player at left back, to be honest, and then I'll be happy. In the England
Fair
team,
enough.
that is.
I mean, he was ours for a bit. Didn't we let him go from the academy, Jed Spence? I feel like it. And then, oh man, don't even get me started. The people we also let Eze go, but that's a that requires many more beers and much more time before we get into that. So moving on rather quickly. A very nice one from Mike C. He goes, as an overseas supporter, if I can only go to one away match over the holidays with my 17-year-old, which one, West Ham United or Crystal Palace, should it be and why? Mary, why don't you start with this one? West Ham or Palace?
I think the atmosphere is better. It pains me to say this, but at Palace, I think the atmosphere is better than at West Ham. So I would say Palace. And yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you want to see us go and win against Palace? I think that's more meaningful than when we beat West Ham. So for me, a Palace away game, much more passion, a right London derby as well. So yeah, I would say see you at Palace away.
Mike?
I would just say, Mike, suck it up, spend the money, go to both. You only do it once.
Depends how close the games are together, doesn't it? But I'm you guys know me. I love winning. So, if you want to see a win, I know Nuno's in charge now, but I would have said we have a better chance against West Ham. Palace seem to have our number with their very structured setup under Glasner. But they're missing Eze now. They definitely, you can't replace Eze, not easily. So they will be a little bit worse off there. But yeah, I think I agree with Mary. The atmosphere at Selhurst Park is quite good. I keep getting the name of their ultras wrong. I think it's the Holmesdale Fanatics. I don't know. They have drums and stuff. It'll be pretty cool, Mike. I reckon you should check that out. So I'm gonna go.
Sorry, did you say they have drums or drunks?
Both.
Both.
Drums. Yeah, with drunks. Or the other way around, even. All right. And just one more question from our very own Spanish FFC Ultras. He goes, with Nigeria now playing in the playoffs because they did win 4-0, a goal in the 90th minute against Benin, which means they finished second above, I think it was Benin who are third actually with goal difference. So with Nigeria now playing in the playoffs, it means we have 3 players out normally when they would be rested. On top of that, we have them out for AFCON. Has Marco taken this into account? I guess that also touches on our transfer window, so let's throw that in there as well, because I don't think we got you guys' opinion. How are we going to manage that? How is Marco going to take that account? And given that we signed 4 players, only 3 outfield? No, I believe so, unless I'm missing someone. 3 outfield players. Is that good enough, knowing that AFCON was going to take out Iwobi and Bassi for sure, and we signed in Chukwueze, who's also going to be part of the Nigerian team? Whoever wants to take it first.
Do you know what? I think we do have the cover for it. It just then weakens perhaps our bench, but we've got Kevin who can come in instead of Iwobi, instead of Iwobi. And then, like Mike was saying earlier, Cuenca can slot in at the back. However, we need to make sure they're getting enough match time in the build up to that and actually get enough exposure to be ready to just integrate into the team properly. So we've got the cup games coming up, and I know some of them played, both of them played actually in the last game, but we've got the Wickham game coming up, and then hopefully Marco will take that into account and start to play them a little bit more. That's if he's thinking Kevin and Cuenca, but that comes to my head. And yeah, it's just making sure they're ready to slot straight in, really. But we do need to be, in the transfer window, like we should have been thinking ahead with that as well.
Look, we've been burned by bringing in too many players in the past. Mary, you took the words right out of my mouth. I actually think we have really good cover at center back. Obviously, again, justice for Cuenca. And I'm actually slightly less concerned about covering for Chukwueze when you think about, who we have off the bench who isn't making the squad consistently, right? Whether it's, somebody like Diop who's not making the bench, is a fine Premier League bench player. In terms of going on the wing, we have Adama, we have Cess available. I'm somehow most concerned about the slotting in for Iwobi. Just the way that he plays when he's really on can interweave things in a really interesting way and give us extra coverage. And I guess now that I'm saying this out loud, I can't believe I didn't think about Iwobi potentially playing the 8 against Arsenal would actually really work in this case and give us that progressive player. Kevin, though, we just have not seen it for more than a cameo yet, other than in the Cambridge game. And it just makes me concerned that he is going to be a player who's going to be great when he's great and absent when he's not. And do we have that coverage there? Is Cess going to be able to play the left wing since he had so much more success on the right? How do we really want to approach that? Maybe it is playing ESR down the left. I think that could be an interesting way to approach it, but somehow the left wing I'm most concerned about of those three positions.
Makes a lot of sense, and you're absolutely right about how Iwobi sort of fits in and is a mature player. You know, he doesn't get flustered. When on his day, an incredible player. I hope we can integrate more players. I understand the merits of having a small squad. It means you get consistency because the same players are always playing together. You're not going to get too many people upset by being on the bench because you don't have a large squad to manage. But I do understand, Spanish FFC's Ultras point that this may... Hopefully we haven't bitten off more than we can chew and there's not a huge drop-off in quality. We definitely need to make big moves in January. For sure that number 8. And I know Wilson has been a good servant. I know he always puts the ball in the Brentford net. Every opportunity he gets. But, that swap out for Tyreek George, I mean, he scored again for the under-21s. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Would you take that swap right now? Or do you think Wilson still has enough to offer and enough maturity that for this season it makes sense to keep Wilson?
I think for this season, I can be content with Wilson staying because he is still creating the moments that we need. Okay, he's also one of those where when he's playing well, and if he's once he scored during the Brentford game, he really came alive. And perhaps when he's not. But yeah, I think he still is beneficial within the team. He knows what he's doing. Like the goal he scored against Brentford, that just shows the relationship they had on the pitch because he already knew that Iwobi was playing that ball and things like that takes time to develop. So we do need a replacement longer term, but for this season, I think it's not a negative having Wilson in the team still or in the squad.
Yeah, candidly, I think Wilson is an ideal super sub to have who's probably playing just a little ahead of his role. I would take Wilson every day of the week right now over George. That might be controversial playing the right now versus the potential of somebody who's as young as George. But we look at our history of developing these types of players and it's a little bit checkered. I mean, we've had some success with, developing King through the academy, developing Muniz over a series of years. Does somebody like George, who we would have the expectation of stepping right into a starting role, have the opportunity to take time to get settled in? Again, people forget this. Muniz has been with us now for 4 years? He didn't really play in the first 2. So I think Wilson is good right now. I actually think we're looking at the wrong person. I think Chukwueze is the guy who's actually going to be the person if we decide to trigger the option to buy, which I very much hope we do. To be the regular starter as we progress, not just this season, but going into the future. And I think that is the route we should be looking at and exploring as opposed to necessarily thinking about somebody like a Tyreek George.
Yeah, very fair point. I put a comment up from Steve Reynolds. Due to AFCON, does that mean Wilson George will not be sold, so no Tyreek? Yeah, fair point. Adama is interesting in that I don't think he will be sold. I wouldn't be against it. We know Nuno's a big fan. We know Nuno wanted him at Forest and now he wants him at West Ham. The last opportunity for us to maybe squeeze out 4 or 5 million from a very unique and interesting and dynamic player, but one that has unfortunately quite consistently had no end product. We'll see. I guess one last question I have for you guys as well, going along with the Fulham America theme to both of you. I don't know how good your knowledge of the men's national team is, Mary, but if you want to throw in an England player, that works as well. Given a budget of £40 million and, the player wanting to come to us, who from the men's national team, the US men's national team, that is, Mike, would you take and would you think would be a good fit for our system and a good fit for our club?
Oh, that's a great question. And I should have been more prepared. I didn't think we'd had that much of a budget. Do I only get one player in this? Do I get to like do the supermarket scramble? Like, how does that work?
I mean, if you can find 2 excellent starters that would join us for a combined fee of 40 million, I'll take that as well. But
Okay.
I think your team has grown in stature since then.
So I got a couple interesting ideas here. I think the quickest and easiest one for me to say, it's not a need right now, but down the line, you watch Chris Richards play for Palace, and that's a guy who would slot straight into our squad, and I would love to see that happen. In reality, going back to what we were talking about with the midfield being the issue, I think Johnny Cardoso, we were linked to a few years ago. I would love to see playing in the 6 for us and kind of being a little more of a progressive player. He's kind of like a Berger, but a little better defensively, looking for the pass forward. I really like watching him. I actually had the opportunity to see him play against Turkey earlier this year, and he made a mistake but recovered really, really well from it. I think another guy I would love to see Marco get his hands on is a player like Yunus Musa, who has always looked to have all the skill to be able to take the world by storm, but never really has the end product. And so I'd love to see how Marco would do getting his hands on a creative player like that. And then my rogue shout, and this is one for everybody to watch. I've mentioned guys like Tanner Tessman. I've mentioned guys like Joe Scally, who I think would be great. Gianluca Busio is the name to watch. He's 23 years old. He's playing in Serie B right now for Venezia. I just think he's an engine as an 8, so much room to grow. He is much more progressive than anything we have, so creative. Maybe he's not a nailed-on starter right now, but he's the guy who I would love to see, 2-3 years down the line, taking the role over from somebody like Berger.
Great names. Some that I'm definitely going to have to look up and watch tape on, but very, very interesting. Cheers for that, Mike. Mary, I don't know if we could get an England starter for under 40, but we can. Maybe someone from the do you have any names that maybe that spring?
Not any maybe... for that, no. I mean, I'll take any of them, really, any of the midfielders, but I don't think they'll come at that price.
Fair enough. I think what we need to do is we need to have a sort of like our own Cole Palmer situation, right? Like go after a really talented academy kid that just can't break into Arsenal or City or Chelsea and offer them a contract. I guess maybe that was George for us, but yeah, that'd be certainly something that could help us out. We did a good job with Tosin when he took, I believe he was their academy product. Of course, we lost him from free to Chelsea, but that was a good signing for us for those years he was with us. I think it's going to be a short one today, guys. We covered all our questions. Super duper grateful to have you both on here. Mike, thanks for joining us all the way from across the pond. Love your knowledge on the US men's national team. Love your candor. Love your energy. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I'm going to do one really quick thing. I told you all I had a little surprise for you. So I'm wearing this hat specifically because we are hosting Full America Day in the U.S. This weekend for the Arsenal match. So anybody who's listening, we have 17 different supporters groups. Please feel free to come out, join us. There's a map on the Fulham website, but I will also be sending a link in the Discord, another plug for the Discord there. But since we have a couple extra minutes, I'd love if you all will humor me and play a little game of Full America trivia.
Let's do it.
All righty. So first questions first. We'll start easy and get progressively harder. How many Americans are currently on Fulham's official roster?
Six. Wait, current roster.
Current roster, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, definitely not 6 then. Jesus. 3.
Mary, how many we got?
Mary?
2.
So in the first team squad, we have 1. It is Jedi Robinson. Alex Borto actually got relegated to the U21s and is no longer our emergency third string keeper. What American holds the most appearances in a Fulham shirt? By the way, I'm going to go 1-0 to Mary right now, just based on closeness.
Brian McBride?
I'm going to go Dempsey.
Oh.
You are both incorrect. It's the man with probably the greatest
Tim
chance.
Ream. Tim Ream.
No, Team Ream. How did we miss Ream? Oh no.
I think I buzzed in before the answer there.
All right, so 1-0 still to Mary. Question 3. Who is the all-time American goal scorer for Fulham?
Dempsey.
Okay,
surely.
that one I'm going Brian McBride. I just love him.
I love him too, Mary, but unfortunately it's tied 1-1 now. It is Clint Dempsey. Just
Just gonna
passed.
keep saying that name.
All right, so it's a good thing you're saying that name. Here's a fun question for you, and we'll go into a two-part here. How many Americans have played for Fulham's first team? Played a match.
Oh.
6.
Ever. 6.
Yes.
Mary?
Yeah, that's why we said 6. Yeah.
You're both halfway there. It's 12.
Oh.
Really?
And actually, fun fact for both of you, we've had an American in the lineup for 19 seasons straight.
Fair play.
Long may it continue.
So, to wrap up at least my segment of this and talking about full America, bonus point to how many can you name of the 12? We'll go back and forth who can't anymore.
Oh.
So since we already know Mark's first answer, I'll let him go first.
Clint Dempsey.
Mary?
Mine, shocking, Brian McBride.
Exactly. So that's 1-1. All right, next.
Robinson.
That's a correct one.
Ream.
There we go. We're third or quarter of the way there, rather. God, I'm bad at math. Third of the way there. Mark, who's next?
Borto.
Has not played in the starting lineup yet.
No.
Mary for the win.
Oh.
There's some pretty great names in here, by the way.
Oh, I don't even think this is right. Carlos Bocanegra, where was he from?
That's correct. Mary wins.
Oh, if I was on a grass pitch, I'd be knee sliding.
Well done. Well done. A tip of the cap to you. But yeah, there are some really great names in here. Just to run through in honor of my celebration of Full America Day. Marcus Hanneman, goalkeeper. Eddie Lewis, Carlos Bocanegra, McBride, Clint Dempsey, Casey Keller, Eddie Johnson.
Oh, Keller.
Emerson Hindman, Tim Ream. I don't know how neither of you got Luca Della Torre, Jedi Robinson, and the man with only one senior appearance for us, Marlon Fossey.
I liked
Knowledge.
Marlon. I liked him. He was good.
Until he got injured, it was really good. We also have 4 currently in the academy, including Borto, and 1 trader, but that's a separate thing. But yeah, thank you for humoring my Full America trivia. If there are any American listeners, you're more than welcome to come out. I will be posting the map in the Discord. But yeah, I thought that'd be a fun way to celebrate Full America Day and do a little trivia there.
That was good fun.
Really enjoyed it. I guess I may sound more American, but Mary knows more, so there you
Mary's
go.
got better American ball knowledge.
Got the brains over here.
I'll be the beauty then. Anyway, thanks so much for joining us, guys. It's been a really fun session. Like I said, we kept it a little bit shorter, but we got a little quiz, an unexpected quiz at the end, so that's always excellent. As always, Mary, if you'd like to see us off with a
You right.